week of Feb now, and it's going to be another session that we have today on giving all of you a hands-on on how you could contribute to a particular sector or segment of layer 5 and mesh repository. So just be patient a bit more. We'll begin shortly. We do have reminders and technical setup up in place, just waiting for the live stream to begin.
Yeah, Ankita, we are live.
Thank you so much, Vishal. So I'll quickly go ahead and add this link in the chat box that all of you present in the call can go ahead and must go ahead and visit. So all you have to do is click on the link, come up here, you'll see a page that looks like this, and then add your name in the attendees section. This would help us trace and track the folks who've been on the call, and then probably help them, assigning them new issues, helping them migrate through, and in many other ways, providing assistance for the time that they spend in the community. So thank you so much for joining in again. Wishing all of you a good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, based on the time zones that you're hailing from. So we've got a bunch of agenda items that we need to cover, a hands-on session, and a quick overview on a bunch of our standing agenda items for the day. But before we begin, we tend to have a session or we ensure that before we begin, in each of our sessions, we call forward the newcomers who've attended that particular meeting or are attending that particular meeting for the very first time. We call them forward to introduce themselves to the community, so that we get to know how we could help them better, how they could grow inside the community. So I'll quickly take a moment and check out our participants list to see if we've got a couple of new folks up here, and looks like we do. So Sugam, do you mind unmuting and sharing about yourself, introducing yourself? And the introduction for everyone would generally be your name, where you're hailing from, the tech stack that you're working on, and what are your expectations from this community. So I guess, Sugam, the mic is over to you. Do let us know if you can unmute and share a bit about yourself.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're loud and clear.
Good evening,
Hi
everyone.
there.
I am Sugam Arora. I am from Punjab, Chalan, India. So basically, at the moment, I am working on Python and JavaScript and DevOps part, and looking forward to have great contributions in the layer. Yeah, that's all from my side.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. It was great having you here. Hope you enjoy the session and get to take away about the different repositories and pages that we work on, some insights on them. Thank you so much again. Let me quickly check in. Niladri, is this the very first time that you're joining the call? If yes, do you mind unmuting and sharing a bit about yourself? And just a quick heads up, folks, if you feel that you cannot unmute at this point, do write your intros in the chat section. We'd be happy to collect them. I believe Niladri has some issue with his microphone. I guess I'll move ahead and just check if KS Madhavan can introduce.
Hi, good evening.
Hi
Am I
there.
audible?
Yes, you're loud and clear. Please
Yes.
go ahead.
Hi, so I'm Mahadevan. I'm a second year student from Manipal, Jaipur, India. I'm currently working with Mernstack and I'm learning Go and Jekyll as one of the meshmates told me to go through this last during my discussions on the forum. I am new to open source and I'm learning how to contribute. So I expect and yeah, so I'm just trying to learn and explore, and I hope to learn a lot more about how technologies work in open source and hopefully contribute one day.
That sounds interesting, and you're at the right place because today we have a couple of websites that we'll be covering up and code bases that we'll be taking a look into that have Jekyll, that work on top of Jekyll that you could use and probably take an issue back,
Yeah.
work on it, and that might be a very first issue. Rest assured, you'll have a wonderful time, and as I can see, you already have a meshmate helping you, so you're all set up for success. Thank you so much again for
Thank
being
you.
here this evening. Yep. So I guess we are running short of time and we've got a bunch of agenda items to cover. So I would appreciate if we've got for all the other newcomers who are here in this call, who are joining the website's meeting for the very first time, to write their introductions in the chat section. We'd be happy to cover them and get to know them better, so that we can help them with any form of assistance that they are seeking. Without any further ado, I'll just add another reminder for folks who are wondering what this page looks like. Why are we here? Why am I presenting this? Kindly go ahead and click on the link in the chat. You will be here. All you have to do is go ahead and add your name in the attendee section if you haven't already. That helps us keep a track of all the attendees who have attended, and probably take up the items. I'd also like to mention, if you're someone who is joining this call for the very first time, but you've already contributed in either of these pages, please go ahead and add your PR link with what you've been working on. And we would love to cover your agenda items so that we can give you some feedback and you can proceed forward. And with all that said, we are probably all set to go ahead and begin with the agenda items for the day. But before that, I'd like to introduce myself. Good evening, everyone. This is Ankita, and I have been a part of the community for a while. I joined this community as an open source contributor, then was a part as an LFX mentee, and currently I'm here helping our community managers with the community initiatives that we have. And today I'll also be covering up with one of our moderators an item that I've been actively tracking. And we would be taking a deeper dive into the migration sector of things, how we are migrating a bunch of UI components in different areas. So with that being said, let me quickly take you through what the standing agenda items for the day are. In each of our website calls since Jan 2025, what we've been doing is we are covering up a couple of these items, standing items, where contributors or moderators are working on. So moderators generally come ahead, or a person who is in charge of that area or who's leading that initiative comes forward and shares his or her progress. They mention if they need some help, and the newer folks on the call or who are looking forward for an opportunity to contribute can volunteer and take up these take up the call and go ahead and start working on that area. In this way, the project and the contributor both are getting helped. So we have our MDX migration issue that's up, and I would love to have Sudhanshu unmute and share a bit about the progress of the MDX migration. I'll stop sharing and I'll leave the stage for him to.
Yeah, hi. Hello everyone. So I'll today skip this item because we have a hands-on training, so it will take time and earlier other discussions, agendas items. But I have shared this this topic in one of the last meeting, so we have this recording for this meet. I'll just share in the Zoom chat. Just a second. Yeah, in the Zoom chat. And if you go to this at the starting of the few minutes, I've shared about MDX, what is MDX, why is required, and what work is being going on, like what's migration, what is this particular migration we are talking about. So go check out this particular YouTube record video. Sorry, it's a recording of the previous meet actually, which is currently going on, one of the meet last week's. So go check it out and you will get to know about that. I'm not speaking in this right now because we'll have quite a few time left for the session. So yeah, for this also, and for another standing agenda item, which is sustained documentation. So which will be telling you about one in the next topic, which is the training session. So we'll skip that part or two because we will be discussing that particular thing very briefly. And about catalog, I think Vivek is here if you want to speak anything related to catalog topics, so he could go forward if we are working on something related to catalog.
No, so I'll just quickly introduce, just in case if my voice is not audible, please let me know. So folks, like we have this public facing catalog where all the designs that the community is publishing is available. So, and they like have different types. So, and you can make use of any of these filters that you see. So right now, like you can look for designs or models. And so these designs are basically Kubernetes infrastructure that are made with the help of tool that is, you can access it in two ways. First is accessing the Mystery Playground and they're using its extension, or just you can go on to canvas.new. Hopefully I'll be dropping that URL in chat, and that should get you going. Yeah, so Canvas.new, and you can actually play around with these designs in a live Kubernetes cluster environment and can get a feel of what the tool is. And similarly, like there are models, and you also can read more about them, what they actually do and how Meshri integrates with them, what they actually mean for Meshri. So yeah, do go and take a look at this. We have another version of this catalog, which is, I would say, is more powerful than this one. So I'll also be sharing link for that. But yeah, this would be it for catalogs.
Thank you so much for quickly taking us through that item, Vishal. So, folks, as Sudhanshu shared a link in the chat section, you can definitely go through and take a look at, the items that we have up here, the MDX migration and the catalog page that Vishal just showed, to get a deeper understanding of where the code is, which PRs are related, how does this affect the entire project. And if you're interested, you can definitely reach out to them via Slack, and they'd be happy to, assist you around to take up a couple of tasks if they have any for you to start working on. We do have our assistant documentation, which is an ongoing issue. So I'm not sure if we should be taking that up now, or while we discuss, I can see we've got a couple of assistant issues here that people would be mentioning. So probably I'll give a call to action for the system documentation below, but I'll take all of you quickly through this page and share a link. So here on our layer 5 page, if you come up to the products section and quickly go through our open source projects, you'll find Systent, which is our design system. And you'll hear Sudhanshu speak a lot about this in a while. So all of these components that we use in our design system, we need to have a documentation for them. We currently have a bunch of those components up, a huge number of issues open, which you as a beginner or as an expert could go ahead, grab, and have as a very first item of yours and introduce that into the documentation section here by taking a look. I wouldn't elaborate more. While we make the call to action, I'll go ahead and share that, but you can go and take a look at what this page looks like and the different components. So it's basically an ask of where contributors come and add the documentation. We give them feedback and review on what must be changed, and we maintain this documentation for our design system. And with that, I guess we are ready for our hands-on training session. To give you a very brief about what this training session is and why we are hosting it. So there has been an initiative where we migrate our existing Meshri UI that was on MUI v4 to MUI v5. Just a quick heads up, the system design system that we are talking about, that has already been migrated to MUI v5. So we wanted all the other pages and components inside Meshri's code base to also be inside, like to also have the MUI version 5 updated content or updated code snippets. So there have been a bunch of contributors who have come ahead and have been working on. Quite recently, Sudhanshu and I have been overseeing this entire initiative. And we've had another amazing contributor named Amit, who has helped us wrap all of these issues up. So today, what we would be doing is we'd be taking you through the entire process of how you migrate any of our UI components from one version to another, things you should be keeping in mind. How do you go ahead? And I'll be opening the VS Code on my system and taking all of you through a hands-on session on how you can do it with a component live in the call. So I hope that helps as a good intro of what we are actually delving or diving into at this point. And I'd like to call upon Sudhanshu so that he can give us a brief overview about what Systent, the system components that we are using, and in general, an introduction to this entire topic. Sudhanshu, do you mind coming forward and sharing a bit about this?
Yeah, sure. Just give me a
And
second.
also, while
Sure.
Sudhanshu and Angita, you folks are going to elaborate, maybe we can first show the issue description that is same for all the MUI issues. I have dropped a link in chat that will take you to Systent as well as MUI items. So hopefully we can start from MUI issue in Meshri that uses the same template that Ankita created. So hopefully that would let folks know that which type of ask it was. So, and from there we can continue our discussion.
Thank you very much.
So the third one, the UI migration, UI migrate third.
I agree.
From top,
Most
the
of this,
third
I
one.
think, yeah, this is also one of it. I think already completed, but they are not closed. But yeah, like for example, if I take an issue, I think this I will close actually. This is the okay. So if you see any like issues in any of the Mishri with labeled as okay, there is no label for assistant specifically, but yeah, that's migrate UI from particular V4 to V5. So you have to understand, you have to convert it to assistant component, or that page should be specifically to a V5 version, which is the MUI V5 version. And when we talk about V5 version, consider that I'm talking about system token. So system is our design system, Layer 5's in-house design system, which I'll come back after giving a quick context about these issues. So like normal, like what this page about and what we have to do is in the issue will be described on. Currently, there are not fresh issues in Meshri's repo itself because I think they are already completed. But how you can find and how you can do it, if you find anything which are in a V4 and you want to convert it, we'll talk about that. So yeah, there's particular issues like that. Okay, coming back to Systent. Systent, as I told and we will discuss, it's in our design system. I will be very quick and try to be very specific, concise. So if you go to it, like we have several projects under Layer 5, right? One of the private projects, open source projects. So basically, most of this project uses the same configuration of components. And when you don't have a design system properly maintained, you have to like the components gets duplicated across all the projects. So it's important to have a design system. So we have this our own system design system which we created, which is internally supported by Material UI, right? So yeah, like this is the normal, I would say, introduction, right? If I come to some talking about color, right? System color and when you are using a component, what theme you will use, what color you are using. So it's very specific, and we stick to particular like configuration. So for if I go to this system, there's a repo system is used, and it's totally based on TypeScript. And if I go to the source and theme, and here the palette of these. So this is the like configuration of our theme, like what different types are and where you want to use it. So if I come back to this website, and there will be get some introduction is what theme is, what token is. Now if I go to quickly about some bottom, just a second. Yeah. So currently we are using three or four types of types. So types is basically, for example, if you take a paper, right, for a container, if you want to add a background color to it, so you just don't add any hex code, right? You don't want to use any hard coded values. We use specific type, what its role, and what its interaction. So first type, if you're adding a color to a background, then you will use the type background, right? So how you add a theme, like theme dot palette dot type, right? So what is the type here? Type is the background. So use theme dot background, and if it's the normal background, right, a brand like normal container, the which is wrapped, you use the default. And there are specific by the names. So there are these color role you will see. They are very specific to the use case. If you see success means there is any success you want to show, notifications, you will use this color role. Any warning, any error you want to show, any information you want to show. So that is basically the role is about. And any thing you want to show as a layer 5's brand interaction. For example, a link or any like these are the links, right? So they are the layer 5's link colors. So basically, what is this? This is the brand color. So this is a role, and interaction means you are passing it as a hover or as a normal, just background color, then it will default. If you are passing as a hover color, so the interaction will be hover. Specifically, types of secondary, tertiary. So it's not important to talk about. But yeah, this is the we see this is just color schema how we use. We don't use any hard-coded hex colors. We are moving from that. So, and these tokens are specifically made with this all colors. So if I go to the assistant again, you will see this is the palette. So I was talking about, right? Type, default, right? And there are specific to many colors. Now these specific colors are coming from colors.ts, this particular file from the system. All the colors specifically defined here, right? So if you are, while converting, if you're not getting particular color, so you'll try to be consistent with this theme or try to get the optional from this theme as much as we have to stick with this theme and all token as I talk about, right? So this was about system theming conventions. Now, similarly, we have some typography conventions. So we use very stick to Canela soft, right? If I talk about typography, we also use particular variants for it. So just a second. If I go, okay, yeah, semantic category. So there's a specifically written and what's the use case, like if you want to add a big sentence, the heading, you'll use this variant, right? And all the information when you are using it as desktop and using a mobile. So this is already configured. So if you come again to this system repo, if you go to this again at file called typography TS. So this has already been defined. You have to just use that variant, text h1 mode, text h2 variant. Now it will automatically take the breakpoint for the mobile screen and the desktop screen. So this is what about like design system means. So you have to be very specific and consistent with the font, colors, and everything. So all here is defined. You can go to this particular page, layer 5's project system, and what's the use case and what's this used for, right? For example, if you are adding a code section, right, you will use this C2 regular. So yeah, we stick with mostly with Canela Soft. As we come down for few small variants, we come to Open Sans, and very small there are consoles, but console also. So yeah, we try to stick with Canela Soft most majorly. So yeah, this was about typography, and you can go about spacing also, gaps, what is there about. But yeah, I'm talking about basic major components, so you can get a quick introduction. Now they are the components. So you'll not see here the whole components. So that's why we're talking about one of the standing agent item to complete the system documentation. So if you go to the, just a second. Just go to the one of the layer 5. And if you go to the issues and just sort it by using the label system. Okay. So yeah, these are all the issues that are needed to be added, like basically the components which will go and added here. So if I just go to components again here, yeah. So these are all the components which will be more added in this line, in this scenario. And yeah, like, and those are here created already issues. So where you will get these components, you have to just come to this again assistant, and there are the base components. If I just go to this base documentary directory, so these are the base components, right? So using these base components, we make like different custom components. So, and like, for example, box, button, and they are already themed. So you don't have to like, unless and until they are needed to add a color or theme, they're already taking a theme default from this system. Okay. So for example, if you want to add if I take a link component, right? So this link will be taken and using, there are already some PRs which has been merged. So you can go and check out if you want to take any of these issues to work on. So how they have worked. So it will get you help. So yeah, these are the issues, and they are the close PRs to get your reference. And yeah, this was like basically the components I was talking about, and everything has been listed in system own repo, right? And I think you have understood the use of system and what all the components are. I just quickly check around if something has to be. I don't think so, but yeah. Okay. Yeah. This was, I think, most of it. Like, if I talk about like, there are pretty much more things, but yeah, this is the most like underlining like basic major things you should know to work on and to work on the migration. And I think from here, I think Ankita will take you to the how you can migrate few steps which you have to keep in your mind. So yeah, over to you, Ankita.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Sudhanshu. I'll quickly take over your screen sharing and take all of us through probably a component that we do not need, so it's still not migrated to MEI v5. A point that we should keep in mind before I begin or proceed. This entire demonstration is going to be just an example use case where how we were able to migrate Systent, or how we were able to migrate Material UI version 4 to version 5 throughout Meshri/Meshri repository. But before doing that, I'll probably go ahead and add a link to that specific repository that I'm talking about so that you can go ahead and take a look. And here you can see inside our Meshri/Meshri repository, we tend to have one of our, this entire repository is divided into a bunch of other areas. So I'll quickly give you an overview. So the UI folder deals with all of these Meshri components or the UI centric components that we were focused on migrating. There's the backend and server part included, and then you also have the docs included, which we'll be covering up some agenda items for the day as well on. So when we talk about the server and docs, we can go there. But currently, all of these components, the UI components that we're talking about migrating from Material UI version 4 to version 5, how is that done? What we would do is we'd be taking one of our components up. Let's say we'll take up this mesh interface component and this very specific component inside. So you can see there are a cluster of other components or a bunch of other components that we deal with. And all of these other components have already been migrated. The RJSF custom components has been used throughout in other pages. So we are currently dealing with a very small micro nano version of what has to be migrated. But if I take you through the code base, we would be following 7 steps of migrating this. So just to give you a context, if you were to migrate version 5 to version 6, which we already have up here, and we might be opening a bunch of tasks in that area or regard, what you'd have to do would be pretty much similar. We first have to convert our design system to use Material UI version 6. And once that is done, that's already up and running, tested, we would come here and change. So let's say I will open up a presentation deck for you that would probably help us understand a bit more. We would be following these 7 steps for any form of migration that you're doing on the Meshri UI components. So the very first thing that you have to ensure that we've taken care of as well is this component that you're taking a look at here. Is it a class-based or a functional component? We have had a bunch of contributors in the past couple of months have come forward and ensured that currently we're all in like the entire repository is using function-based components or functional components. So this to do might not be required, but you would still like to keep an eye on in case there is something that we have missed somewhere. Next thing that you'd like to do is, as I mentioned, this is just a case where you're migrating version 4 to version 5. So some important, like you could go through the version 4 and like the version 5 change log to see what are the major changes that have occurred, what you feel has to be changed. We noticed that the width styles and make styles, that usage or those things have to be dealt with differently, and that's what we would be changing in this very specific component. So the next step would, once you have ensured what has to be changed, let's say in version 6 there is something else that has made a significant difference and you need to change it, else the entire code base would break. So you have to list that down first. Once that is done, you come ahead and you take a look at like here, we replaced with styles with styled and SX properties. So if you come up with this component, you'll see you're using with styles from Material UI core. And this styling is not ideal or not supported. So what I would do is I'd simply go ahead and remove it from here. Now, this would definitely break the code if I do that, right? So there are a bunch of other things that I have to keep in mind, and ensure is done. So first, you get rid of all of these components, like all the use cases or the all the usage that you find throughout in that specific component, which is for us, it was with styles here. Once it is done, you ensure that this is outdated. So you'll update it to NUI/material. And once this is done, you will notice that, okay, there are a bunch of these other components that we can see here, a grid, a box, and, even the theme, the baseline, and some, like this specific component doesn't have a lot of CSS or styling or coloring items. But still, we'd cover that once I'm done with how would you change the generic structure. So what would happen is once you remove something like that, this is where the usage of or the introduction of system components comes into picture. As you can see here, nowhere up here we have used system components. So what we do is we check if these Material UI components inside system have already been converted into version 5. So I'll go ahead, check if we've got grid. We can see grid at uh, inside the base component. So we already, as we mentioned, that system, the first step is converting system into the latest version, so that you can then retrieve that component and go ahead and use it. So as we know that it's already on version 5, we know that grid exists and it's on version 5. So I can go ahead and probably do something like grid from layer 5/system. So this, if you have to use system specifically or system components inside the Meshy, even if you're creating a brand new component inside Meshy UI or anywhere else where you have to use system, you could just call it from layer 5/system. And would this ensure that you can go ahead and add a grid component anywhere and everywhere? No, it wouldn't. Any changes that you do to this grid wouldn't even reflect up here, because you have to ensure something that's very specific that I've also highlighted here is uh, to use a system component, you have to import it with @layer 5/system. But for that thing to work, you have to ensure there's a user system wrapper either in this component, which isn't an ideal approach. We would appreciate if the parent component or the component that's the highest in the order. So all of these components are structured in a pattern, a tree-like pattern. So the one that's on top of the hierarchy, what you have to do is you have to go ahead and ensure that that component has something like this. Let me quickly bring that up. So you've got user assistant. It's going to be a wrapper here to ensure that this grid or this thing works. At the highest level of this thing, what I would do is I would ensure I add this wrapper. Again, I repeat, this wouldn't be the best or the most ideal approach, because we definitely know there's another component on top that is using this. And if you wrap there, all of these components here can, they definitely be under this. They definitely support the system components that you're using. So if you wish to tap into why user assistant might be necessary, or why, if you do not add user assistant, why would things break? I guess because we would be short of time. So Dhanshu, if you could add in really briefly in the chat section for others to simply refer to, then that would be great. But I would proceed with, uh, by this stage, you reach a point of in the migration process where you have already eliminated the previous migration conflicting issues or usages, and now you know that, okay, this particular component, or like this particular component doesn't have any more MUI usage. So what I would quickly do is, you can see we've got typography icon button and box because I've done a bunch of components. I know that we already have them inside Systent. I'll go and add them here. We do have a use theme that I'll currently take up in just a moment while we are adding use theme and how that helps. And we do have a CSS baseline as well. So we can get rid of this, we can get rid of that. And yes, with this, we're all done. We've gotten rid of all the Material UI version 4 references. So now this component is on version 5. Here, the issue would arise is, though you've used all of these components, if you remember, Sudhanshu mentioned all of these system components have their own set of styles, their themes, and how they are used. You might not, and because it's used on different pages and under different websites that we have, each of the website has their own set of themes and styles. To cater to that, now that you've already got all of these components and they are compatible, you need to ensure that the coloring scheme, the styling, and the theme is apt and in place. At this point, what you could do is run, it's a general practice, you run the Meshy server first and the Meshy UI, and then you go up to your local running instance. And when you go up to your local running instance, you'll see that you might go up to that particular component that you're updating and check okay, what's broken, what is different. As you can see here, it says there's some sort of an issue with some component that we'll take a look at. But what you can see is you'll see the distinct difference between how it was looking like, or how it looks, how the design should look like, and how it currently looks. Keeping that in mind, you will probably, as you'd seen, Sudhanshu mentioned how you could use a couple of terms or terminologies specifically to change the color, theme, and style. So what you would do is you'd come up here and you can take a look at our palette component. And so he mentioned about a palette and a color. So you've got both of these inside Systent. This is the palette and this is inside colors. You would notice that there's something known as colors.ts as well, which basically has all these colors, but you cannot directly go ahead, like you can go ahead and get these colors. What we've done is to ensure it's a bit more convenient for you. You can directly go ahead based on the dark theme or light theme, because we support both the theming together. You can see for the light modes, for background, you have a bunch of options available. Let's say I notice that the background doesn't have a perfect color that I need. I'll go ahead, pick a color from here and add it inside. And what that would ensure is we already have the system to ensure that, for when you are in the dark mode, how it would look like, when you're in the light mode, how it would look like. So all you have to do is simply go ahead and add a token. I'll share an instance with all of you here for a token that we do have. So I'll take you to one of our existing pages that we had migrated and take you to how the styling looks like. Here we do have theme. Yes. So see the background color here, what we had to do is we got theme from use theme that you saw here. We are importing this use theme from Systent, and I'll take you to why and how you can use it. So you get the use theme, the theme from there. You go up to palettes, background, and inside our palette here that you've seen, just a second. You go up to background and then you pick up the very specific background color that you need, which is card. So how should a card look like? That's what you pick up from there and then you add it here. So this is what a card looks like. This is the specific color in both dark and light mode. All you have to do is you just have to add this annotation that we've created, and as you switch or toggle between the dark and light mode, automatically these colors would get set. So you simply need to go ahead and from the palette figure out what is the color that we have to add and get that up here. So that was a very specific notion up here, but you can go through the system documentation that we shared a little earlier to figure out how you could change themes, like texts, text styles, font styles, and a lot of other things in the similar way or in the similar pattern. Now, to show you how you could use styles, what use theme does is, so basically inside Systent, to ensure that we are adding theming correctly to all of these, we do have something known as use theme inside Systent. And it would be ideal if I take you to that particular component, just give you a quick overview. So you can see we get the material UI use theme from there, and we ensure that the light and dark mode toggle is in place. So every time you are switching between them, the palette colors are in place, the one that we saw here. So the card color, as you switch use theme, ensures that we do have the light and dark mode switching correctly. And as we have used theme here in Assistant, we'd appreciate if you could use that component directly. Let me show you a quick usage of how you could do it. There's a reason why I shut this out. What we can do is, I unfortunately missed a point. So while we removed with styles, uh, because it's not there in MUI v5 anymore, we left this very specific step. Like we migrated things inside Systent, and ensured this is done. The user assistant wrapper is up in place. We forgot that inside MUI v5, styled and SX properties can be used to migrate something. So what I do is, you see these styles that were earlier used, and the class names that were added, this form of styling has to be changed. Something that you will find really common throughout System is uh, like throughout the Mesh3/Mesh3 components currently would be styled block or block of code like this. And we have something like styled inside System, that is generally a wrapper of the MUI v5 styled. And this is the form of styling or CSS that you'll find. So either you can find something like this, or you'll find something like an SX is equals to, or the SX property. For folks who are into UI and have used Material UI version 5 with SX would know, but I can share an instance of that as well. So what you basically have to do is, let's say we remove the styles, the general styling that we did this way. You could either go ahead to that very specific component and add this styling with SX property, or you could create a component just like the other one there. So I would need something like an object field, and we can quickly do something like this. I get styled from System, and once we have styled from System, I would add what property does this go on top of. So if I go down, I think object was used for these class names. See, this class name was used for this specific grid that we have here. So what I do is I'll comment this because we don't need that class name. We are going to get rid of this. I would add grid, the very specific one that we needed, just like this. And we open this up, just like we did up here. There is something that you could change here as well. Like if you're using theming, we can introduce the theming inside of it. And that is exactly what we are going to do. So we're going to follow this form of a structure here. So that would mean I'd have to slightly change how we are representing this. And before a return, we'll do a const theme is equals to, we'll call use theme, or we could simply even pass use theme inside of this one here. Sorry for that. Yes, now this should be fixed. So I could either pass the theme here if I've declared it on top, or I could do it this way around, which I would do. I'll simply go ahead and grab all of these that we need. And with this, we do have our object field ready. I'll go ahead and down below where object field was used, I'll just replace grid with this new style component that we have got. So it's still a grid, the styling has just been added. Now let's say you want to add this specific background color the way we wanted to. So now we can refer to theme palette dot we have a mode here. If theme.palette.mode is dark, so we don't add these hex codes directly. What we would rather do is we find a very matching hex code similar to it in the palette component here. We'll figure out from colors and palette what is the matching one that is most ideal or suitable. And then let's say for light theme, what I would do is theme dot palette I know it's a background color that I have to change, so I'll call background, which is this one here, and we will have something like a background default. Or you could add any other color. I'm simply going ahead with default at this point. What this would ensure is when you switch themes now, you know what has to go in. So you could remove this entire dark mode thing and simply have this one single thing, one single theme color to ensure that, for background theme, let's say default color has to this is the default color that you want on both. If you want a slightly different color here for dark theme, you would maybe want to go for blur light or something like neutral default. So in those situations, you can have this theme.palette.mode, select the mode, and then go ahead and add what theme you want there. This would pretty much sum up how you could add themes, or how do you add themes, or how we've been adding themes throughout. So I would maybe go with something brand here and brand dot secondary, just a random one, but you have to go ahead and ensure that that's there. So this would be a quick overview of how we were able to migrate MUI v4 to v5, and the different steps involved, what you have to keep in mind. In general, if you might go up from v5 to v6 and you're contributing in that area, just go through the change log first, do the essential changes. Now that we already have all of these using Systent, so if you've ensured the changes are done inside Systent, and we already have all of these Systent layer 5 components integrated while we were doing the Material UI version 5. So you might not go ahead and do this. Like you don't have to go and change this in an existing component, but if you're creating a new component inside Meshry/Meshry at any point of time, please ensure that you specifically use the layer 5 slash Systent components or the Systent design components. And yep, at any form of time, if you were to use this is how you would do it. Get that component, give that wrapper, and then add some styling, either like this, or maybe I'll find out where that typography is, show you. See, this thing, we can hide this and rather have something like an SX prop. You can go and check more about the SX prop, and you wouldn't need another style like this anymore, because SX is adding a style. So don't ensure you don't have two different things. But yes, that would be pretty much it of how you would go ahead, add the Systent component if you're creating a very new component, and then go ahead and test that out on localhost. I'll have to ensure something else is breaking this at this point in my code base, and I have to fix that. But yes, this is in general how you would go ahead and migrate any Systent component, or create a very new not just a Systent component, but a new Meshry component, and use Systent inside of it. So any doubts and queries that we might have, thank you so much for sticking along this far. I'm sorry I've been very slow about that. Thank you so much for the time check, Sudhanshu. I'll go ahead and answer any queries that we have in the chat section, but that would conclude our hands-on on how you can go ahead, change a component, and get things up and running. We will quickly delve into a bunch of these agenda items that we have for the day, and I'd start calling up folks so that they can come forward and they can share what they've been working on. So to take all of you through this, we happen to have a page known as layer5.io. This gives you a general overview, or most of you must have visited this page. This is built on top of Gatsby. So the MDX migration that Sudhanshu was talking about, that had MDX and Gatsby updates both. Gatsby is successfully on a new version, but we've got a bunch of other components inside of this page that need update and maintenance. So these folks that you'll meet here are more or less working on this specific site, whose link I'll add in the chat box that you can take through. I'll change this and add that up here. And we'll move ahead to our very first contributor, Diptanshu, if he's here. Diptanshu, do you mind taking all of us through this? item that you've been working on. Just a quick heads up for everyone, if you're new to the call, just so that you know, when someone is joining the call for the very first time, or if you're even here for quite a while, if you need feedback or you're sharing any of your PRs, please go ahead, share your screen, take us through what you were asked to change, like the issue that you had on that page. What is your fix for it? What are your suggestions? And then the code file and even the deployment, the local deployment, if you could share that, then it would be easy enough for us to give you a review and a feedback on it. So Diptanshu, is it possible and feasible on your end to come forward, share your screen, and take us through this agenda item? I'll quickly. Okay, Diptanshu sent a word he wouldn't be here. Jayashree, you're up next. Do you mind, taking all of us through your PR? I'll add Diptanshu's PR up here in the chat. And we will take a look at his PR. You all can leave some comments and reviews on his PR as well. But Jayashree, do you mind taking us through the issue that you were assigned? What is it about? What is your suggested fix, and even the deployment preview if you have one?
Hello everyone. So I got the issue for adding avatar components and avatar group components for the system project. So right now I've created avatar component.
Just a moment. Apologies to interrupt, Jayashree. Do you mind sharing your screen and taking us through, like, the issue and then your PR? Or do you want me to take us through that?
Yes, you can.
Yes,
Can you take that?
she's Ankita. She's sharing the screen. I'm able to see. Okay, you was sharing. Sorry,
Yes, I am.
I
That's
thought
perfectly fine.
she.
Please go ahead, Jayashree.
Okay.
I think we can skip like sharing because we are very. Okay,
Uh,
let Jayashree share. Okay.
my screen is visible.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, so right now I've created a avatar component for system project. Avatar group component is still remaining. What I want to know is if there is any changes to this avatar group component or anything that requires more, because this is my first time to the system project contribution. Hello, I'm audible.
Can you go again, Jayashree? What
Yes.
you were asking?
I'm asking if there are any like how I've made avatar components. So how I have to make avatar group components? What can we add in that?
So we'd love to
Uh,
take that up, Jayashree. Do you mind showing a deployment preview of this avatar component first, and then we can probably take up the question? Sudhanshu, would that be fine? I'm sorry to interrupt.
yeah, sure, sure.
Yep.
From where can I take it? Uh,
Like, you've added it inside the documentation?
Yeah,
yeah.
click on open source. Yes, click on
Yes.
assistant. Now.
If you scroll below, you'll see system. Like, if you take the cursor down, yep, please click on it. Go ahead to the components. Pardon. Thank you. If you scroll down, you'll probably have your avatar that you've added.
It's not yet there.
So if you can take us through your code file a bit, if it's not enlisted here, you might not have added that to the stack. Okay. Oh, you have to go all the way back.
She has not added in the separate file, so that's why it is not visible.
Yep.
You can refer our system tutorial. Vivek has posted link in.
Okay. So I have to add on system project as well, right?
No,
Not
no,
in
no.
the system project. You have to change one more file, add a few lines inside it. So you can refer. I am providing some link from where you can refer. There to.
Okay.
So
Got it.
basically, Jayashree, just a quick context. So to enlist this component inside the doc, there is a file. You need to add this entry, and then you can see it on this page. It's inside the same repository that you're working on, and you have your PR raised up. So Vidit is someone who has been initiating this, and he has a training. And Vishal already has added a link to that training session. You can click on it, go ahead and check that. For anyone else in the call who is interested in contributing to the system documentation, I would highly advise you to go through that YouTube tutorial, like we had one for migrating Mesh components today. That deals with how do you add a new assistant component to the documentation. So you'll know which file to change, where to change, and what to do. If you still face an issue, Jashi, do let us know. Your question regarding the group, would it be ideal if we cover that up once we wrap this component of yours first?
Okay, got it.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate your time and
Jashi,
effort.
for to get it done quickly, just check for the other closed PRs which are already merged, so you can get a reference how it's done. So you can get it done fast. So like
Okay,
which files to
sure.
change and all. So yeah.
Yes.
You can take a look at the one that Vidit just shared, the switch component. That'll
Okay.
help you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing and for the effort that you're taking. Roshan, quickly checking in. If you're here, we can probably take your item up as well. So you probably added the list component, right? So do you mind taking us through this item? Maybe we can take a look at your deployment review as well. If Roshan is here, I'll have to check if we've got Roshan. Looks like we do not have Roshan up here, but I guess we're all added as reviewers, and Vidit has already provided Roshan some feedback, so we can skip this item. Thank you so much for that, Vidit. I'll still go ahead and add this PR for others to take a look at. But Hemant, just checking in if we've got Hemant on call,
Yeah,
and we
yeah,
can.
Ankita.
Hi, Hemant. Do you mind taking us through your item, like sharing your screen, giving us one-liner intro of what the issue is, what your like suggested fix is, and maybe if you have a deployment preview.
Yeah, I'll share the screen.
Thank you so much.
Ankita, can you share your screen? I'm not able to share my screen.
It's perfectly fine, Hemant. We can definitely do that.
Yeah.
So this would be Hemant's PR, and do you mind telling us, what the issue was?
Yeah, basically, when you go to the nearby page integration part and when you hover the screen, yeah, so the search icon was overlapping that.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah, the search icon on the right side was overlapping the screen, so I just changed that.
Got that. Uh, Perfect. So I think we can quickly take a look here or at inside your deployment preview.
Yeah.
Sudhanshu and Vishal, I'm not sure if I can notice the change. If y'all would appreciate that. I'll quickly take a look at the file change that you have. You've changed the Z index here, as I can see.
Yeah,
If you hover onto the integrations,
yeah, just hover the community part.
Mhm.
Yes,
Oh,
at the
this
right
one
side.
here.
Yeah,
I see.
for like
Yes.
all the navbar menus, you can see that.
so
Yes.
yeah, I'm not sure if that is something we wouldn't want. So if we could just quickly take a look, what was there, like what is there right now?
This is what we have right now. There's the search icon
So
that pops up
supposedly,
here.
okay, yeah, the search icon. Mm. I was hoping that this was related to the navigation, like the arrows, or was it for just the search icon?
Only
I
for the
haven't.
search icon.
Okay, makes sense.
Do we approve of the Z-index value changing, Vishal?
Yeah, we'll also have to look in mobile screen because we were having some issues, while people.
Just a second, like you are changing the Z index of navigation. This could be a issue. Just ensure that you just check the search icon Z index. The input field shouldn't be at that. Like don't change the navigation directly. Like then you
Okay.
have to go to other pages that it shouldn't affecting other things. Try to
Yeah.
change the ability of the input field. Don't change the ability of navigation.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Try to check that
I
solution first, so that would make more sense. Otherwise, we'll see this solution too.
Yeah, okay, I'll let you know.
I'll add Sudhanshu as a reviewer for this. As soon as you've got an update on how that works or how that looks like, you can
Okay.
ping him here in the chat section, or probably make a comment, and then we can carry this forward. Thank you so much
Yeah.
again. I guess we have the pause and the time police ticking, and we're over 2 minutes. I genuinely apologize, everyone. Is Vlad here on the call with us? Vlad, we would appreciate if that's okay for you. We can take your item up in the next call. I'd ensure I add that item on top. We make it a priority item that we cover. Um, just checking in if we've still got blood here. I think we do not. We are lucky enough, but I'll still go ahead and add the items to folks who weren't here. A quick heads up for the others in the call. I'll add 2 more links in the chat, which all of you must take a look at. And that is this community calendar. So our website meeting today is generally focused on all of these websites. We don't have a hands-on training session every week. We have it like in an alternate weeks or bi-weekly sessions. So we would be able to cover the other pages or websites that we have in the other calls. This is a lot more docs and front-end oriented. If you're someone who is more into Go and the other segments of CI and DevOps, you can also join the Meshri development call that we have every Wednesday. And then you can definitely join our newcomers call if you're a newcomer and you haven't attended that on Thursday, because that's an amazing starting point for all of you. To begin with, it gives you a walkthrough of different projects. We do have Meshri build and the CNCF tag network meetings that happen alternatively or once in a while. So you might want to chime in for it. For all of that, you have to add this calendar and have to have a link for it. So it's in the chat. You can refer to it. We also have a discussion forum. So for folks who are not already on Slack, I'd appreciate you. Please go ahead and join the Slack community. Apart from that, while you're setting up, your system or your dev environment, or you're working on an issue and you're facing something, go ahead and search it here in the discussion forum. In some way or the other, you will definitely find someone who has already had this issue. They've posted about it, and other folks either helping them out, or you can go through what help was provided, and probably that would help you fix your problem as well. So that's a bit about the discussion forum that you must be aware of. Irrespective of that, we're all available on Slack. You can DM us in the respective channels for anything that's to do with these particular websites that you can see here, or the repositories of these websites. Go ahead and ping us in the websites channel, and the respective moderators and maintainers would be happy to help you. Thank you so much again. I genuinely apologize because we've gone over 5 minutes in this call. Hope all of you have a great day ahead, and see you in the next websites call. Looking forward to all the newer contributors here to go ahead and take a look at all of these repositories, check out the good first issues, and contribute to it, or send their contributions. If you need some assistance, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to guide you through. Thank you again, and see you soon. Take care, everyone. Signing off for the day.
Ankita, do end the meeting for also.